Hi guys, Shema Polot here. Welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, I'm speaking at the camera from a different angle because, we're moving up in the world thanks to your subscriptions. So if you haven't subscribed to this video, then now is the time. Just pause, smash like. You can also hit the notification bell if you want to get a message every time I release a video. Otherwise, I really appreciate you coming on this journey with me, and let's get into this thing. So this week I'm going to show you a bunch of new things. So one new thing in Google Docs and several new things in Excel. I wouldn't fancy myself an Excel influencer if I didn't tell you what new things popped up every now and then. And also Google Workspace, because I consider myself a decent user of these different tools, and I'd like to add value to your life, which is why I share all this stuff. So I'm going to show you a new thing in Google Docs and several new things in Excel. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is that you can now add emojis to your documents in Google Docs, and it's fantastic, okay? So if you're like me, you make a lot of reports, and because I create a lot of reports, I look for any excuse to make them just a little bit more exciting, and emojis are doing that for me right now. As you can see, in this document, I have an emoji in front of every single title, whether or not they make sense, because they're cute, okay? So for example, I have no idea what a cactus has to do with data literacy courses, but it's happening, okay? But so I want to show you how to add the emojis, and let's do that really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to delete the cactus really quickly, and then so in the first video I made about Google Docs tips, I showed you something called building blocks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you should watch that video right here, or in the link in the description below. But it's basically a really cool way to add a bunch of different components or features into your Google document by just clicking the @ sign like this. And then as you can see, you're able to add meeting notes, email drafts, review trackers, checklists, numbered lists, images, drawings, dates, headings, everything by just hitting the @ sign and then selecting the specific feature that you want, okay? It's really cool. Building blocks is fantastic. If you're not using them in Google Docs, you're just not operating optimally, okay? But now to add emojis, you add the @ sign, and after the @ sign, you add a colon, okay? And as you can see, emojis pop up, okay? So I type cactus, and I click enter, and our cute cactus is back, and we're also much happier for it. But there you go. That's all I wanted to show you in Google Docs. Maybe one quick thing before we transition to Excel is when you click that outline icon in the top right corner of the Google document, there's something called a summary, which is relatively underused. So you can add a summary to your document, especially if you're collaborating with multiple people on a document, and maybe you're creating it for the first time. Maybe you're the sort of project manager and you're in charge. Then the summary gives the people coming into the document a sense of what it's about, what to expect, and things like that. And you're able to see the summary when you find the document in Google Drive, or when you receive an email of the document being shared with you. And so the summary is really helpful, just for giving you a heads up. However, if you have some money and you're using Google Workspace Individual, the one that is paid for, then Google actually auto-generates your summaries using AI. So certain long documents have executive summaries. You can now auto-generate your executive summary using AI by Google Docs. It's fantastic, but I don't have Google Workspace Individual, and you probably don't either. But maybe when I get it someday, I'll show you. Or for now, we'll just watch YouTube videos and see what it looks like. But anyway, the summaries are there. Really cool, really handy. Use them, because why not? Okay? But yeah, that's it for the Google document. Let us go into Excel, your favorite. Okay, so we're in Excel now. So Excel has a bunch of new functions that I want to show you today really quickly. We're going to run through these really fast, and just to give you a sense of the relevance and the different cases when you would use them, okay? So the first one is just a quick one, by the way, is that you may not have access to these functions if you don't have Office 365, because I think they tend to roll them over to the lower versions after some time, or maybe even not at all sometimes, because Excel is mean like that and they want you to pay for 365 because it's a running subscription. But if you have 365, then you can follow along and you learn what these are. If you don't, then maybe aspire to get it, or just if you land on a computer with that, then you'll know how to use them, okay? The first one I want to show you is called TEXTSPLIT. TEXTSPLIT is a way for you to split different words by the delimiter, which is the the sort of thing or character that separates the two different texts. So in the case of a full name, the delimiter is the space in between the names. In the case of a list of groceries, the delimiter is the comma in between each grocery, okay? So that's what the delimiter is, okay? So we have full names, James Doe, John Doe, Jane Doe, James Peter, okay? And so we want to separate James Doe into first name and last name. So what we use is text split, and we get the text, comma, and we enter the delimiter, which is a space. All the other arguments are optional, so we close the bracket and we press enter, and there we have it. Once we do that, we are then able to copy the formula downwards, and there you go. And that's how we separate the names, okay? Now, if you didn't know how to use text split, there are two other functions that are really useful for doing the same thing. It just takes a bit longer, okay? So one of them is called text before, and all it does is give you the text before a specific delimiter, okay? So if we want the first name, what we want is the text before the space, okay? So we click that, and then we enter the space, and there you have it. Auto-populates automatically, okay? And again, this is auto-populating automatically because this is a special Excel table. And then to get the last name, we use text after, which will give us the text after the space. So again, we select the text, and then we add the delimiter again, and we press enter, and there we have it. First name and last name extracted from full names in a matter of seconds, okay? The new text functions, text splits, text after, and text before are really useful for doing a bunch of stuff like this. And you know, with Excel, the power in a lot of these tools is when you get to combine them in different scenarios to create more complex formulas. So think about the formulas that you know already and how you can incorporate these different ones into them to create more powerful solutions. We're not going to do that now though. We're just doing just doing highlights, okay? So next up, we have a formula called VSTACK. VSTACK is short for vertical stack, and really it's just a way for you to combine two different stacks of data together, okay? Let me show you a practical example of that. If for some reason you have two different grocery lists that you're collecting information from in separate sheets, and you want to combine them, okay? So you might get these, copy them, and then paste them below, like that. That's the way the common man would do it, okay? But we're not basic, so we're not going to do that, okay? What we do instead is we use the VSTACK function, okay? And we tell Excel, get this first array or range of data, comma, add this array. Of course, we are ignoring item and amount because it already exists. And we close that, and look at that. It's like magic, right? So that's what VSTACK does. It combines two stacks of data into one main one, okay? So what we're going to do now is take a look at the brother of VSTACK, which is HSTACK, which stands for horizontal stack, which again just gets two different size pieces of data and brings them together like that. Versus vertically, this one does it horizontally, okay? So let's show you how to do that, okay? So HSTACK, again, what I did, I created a very contrived problem here where you have items and amounts, and then you have the quantities and the IDs separated. I can't think of a reason why this would be the case, but I'm just trying to show you how the formula works, okay? So you want to combine these two sets of data together. Again, you could always select that, copy it, and paste it here. Or what you could do is use HSTACK, get this array, comma, get this array. What you have to be conscious of is make sure that the two different arrays or different ranges of data are of the same height. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems, okay? But once you do that, you close the bracket. You close the bracket, press enter, and as you can see, we have a whole new range of data which has combined all of them together, okay? Really useful. Again, think about all the different times you have data in a bunch of sheets that are so far away, and you kind of want to pull that data from wherever it is and just combine it into a table that you're now looking at in real time. So Very practical, very useful. Okay. The last two are called TOCOL and TOROW, and all they do is just move your data from columns. TOCOL will transform your data from rows to columns, and TOROW will transform your data from columns to rows. Okay? Let me show you what that means. It's a mouthful. I'm like stumbling over my words, but let me show you. Okay? So I got some of the items from our grocery list from before: oranges, mangoes, bananas, and butter. If I want them to appear like this, I want them to appear in one row. So I use TOROW, and I just get the selection. I press enter, and there they go. Okay? That's what TOROW does. To column is TOCOL, and so what I would do is just get this selection right here, press enter, and it brings them back to a column format. Now, I do want you to pay attention to something, even though it's out of the scope of this class, but you saw how it brought a hash sign. It brought a hash sign. When I selected all this, as you can see, instead of doing B4 to E4, it created a hash sign, okay? That hash sign. So that's really important and really cool, okay? So, and I think I've talked about it when I was talking about maybe VLOOKUPs or maybe drop downs or maybe data validation at some point, but let me talk about it really briefly. So that hash sign is usable when you're working with dynamic arrays. And what dynamic arrays are is a bunch of these arrays that we've used before, like the filter function. And I have a whole video on dynamic arrays. I'll leave a link in the description just so you familiarize yourself with them. They're fantastic, okay? But so every time you use a dynamic array, what they do is you enter a formula in one cell using a dynamic array function, and the result of that dynamic array function spills over into other rows, okay? So this is what happened here. When we use TOROW, as you can see, all I did was use TOROW, and I selected this range, and I've entered this formula, this function for TOROW in only one cell, okay? But when I hit enter, it spills over into these other cells, and you can see this sort of blue box around them indicating that it's a sort of dynamic array. The reason why it's dynamic is because it can get smaller or bigger depending on if you shorten the range. Okay, so but once Excel is aware that you have a dynamic array, or you have a bunch of results that have spilled over from a dynamic array function, in this case I want to get this range, okay, and convert it back to a column. All you need is to get that first box that has the function, and then just press a hash sign, and what you're telling Excel is just get everything from that box and everything else that comes after it. That's what the hash sign means, okay? So we use the hash sign, close the bracket, press enter, and there you have it. So those are a few new of the functions that we have in Excel. Most recently, we've talked about a few of the text functions: TEXTSPLIT, TEXTAFTER, TEXTBEFORE. We've talked about VSTACK, we've talked about HSTACK, and we've talked about TOCOL and TOROW. Really cool functions. Most of them are dynamic arrays. Dynamic arrays are really powerful, and you should familiarize yourself with them again if you haven't. Like I said, I'll leave a link to in the description below just so you can watch those videos again. I'll also add them at the end of this video just so you can watch them again. But yes, so those are some of the new things that are happening in the Excel and Google space world. Really exciting, right? So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and share this with anyone you know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.